Today on Ramblings with Rebecca, it's time for another battle of the theories! We did this over the summer when we were looking at environmentalism and environmental determinism versus social constructivism or constructionism or however else you'd like to term it. Today we're going to delve more deeply into kind of two dominant, one of them's dominant. One dominant approach to epistemology in today's world and its primary counter. Constructivist epistemology and empiricism, and empirical approaches to epistemology. So, as we mentioned yesterday in a haphazard way, not that today will be any less haphazard, epistemology is the study of knowledge, working at trying to figure out what do we know, how do we know it, what is fact, what is truth, what is knowledge, that kind of thing. Empiricism is a branch of epistemology, one particular school of thought around thinking, if you will, that argues that knowledge comes only or primarily from sensory experience. The things that you're touching and feeling and seeing and hearing. Feeling as in touchy-feely, not as in feeling or feeling. Because knowledge comes from experience and from evidence, and primarily that evidence comes from experiments. Hypotheses, theories, ideas about the world have to be tested against observations of the natural world rather than reasoning, that just comes from in your head, intuition, revelation, things that you feel with your heart. So we need to be able to feel them in the world. That probably sounds really obnoxiously loud via the video. Sorry, everyone. Empiricism comes with it several good things. The idea of the revision of knowledge and that we can falsify things. And that probably our understanding and evidence from the world and our experience of the world will change over time. And we're starting to add more knowledge. Empiricism allows us to counter the fact that was once very much a fact in the world that, say, the Earth was at the center of the universe. Things like that. Those kind of scientific advances are based in empirical thinking, and I tend to like those kind of things. However, empiricism also leads to the kind of glorification, if you will, of the scientific method and of science, and it is pushed back by a more constructivist epistemology, a branch in philosophy that talks about natural science and this scientific method and this empirical approach to epistemology is just one possible way to get at truth, and that actually all of the ways that we approach facts and knowledge are just constructed with the aim of our trying to figure out things. We're trying to understand the natural world, and we create these systems and these approaches to doing that understanding. Scientific knowledge, then, is created by the scientific community. Empirical facts are created, construction, by empiricists, people who think that that's the correct approach to knowledge. So empiricism becomes this, attempt to measure the world, but there are many other attempts to measure the world, and we can't actually say which one is valid. Constructivism, of course, is a little far out there for some people. It also has the problem of being able to be very meta on itself, right? So constructivist, a really true constructivist would sit there arguing, okay, this is just, empiricism is just one way to get to truth. And there are many, many truths in the world. But then, of course, my constructivist, or whoever's constructivist approach, is also just one approach. And that's not necessarily any more real than any other. So this attempt to say there are many truths and facts in the world and approaches to knowledge can then say that also this constructivist view is yet another constructed view, an attempt to systemize, right? So I hope that I'm explaining this meta in some way, because it is a little strange. So certainly not perfect, and I do not wish to wish away the fact that the Earth is not the center of the universe. And certain facts that we're pretty sure of, gravity, things like this, not fully constructed. But I do think constructivism helps to push against the authoritative knowledge that is science, and that is tomorrow.